Hello,
Hey, can you hear us?
I can't hear anything. So we don't have enough unless, right. Liz and Marcus, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, Larry, we can hear you.
Is it possible for either of you to drive into the Holmes Ballroom?
Yeah, Larry, I can.
Otherwise, we're going to have to cancel this meeting and reschedule it
Why?
because we can't have the meeting when we can't hear what's being said and hear everybody.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
You're not present if you can't hear it.
yeah, I can come in. Take me
Okay.
about 10 minutes or so.
Why don't you come in? I'm going to head over there myself. So we'll meet you there.
Okay.
All right.
Jen,
Yeah,
Marcus and Liz are going to come down to the ballroom and I'm going to come over there as well. And we'll try to have the meeting in person.
okay, sounds good.
All right. Bye.
All right, bye.
There's no real issue with this.
Thanks for coming over, Liz. So Liz, you get settled, but I'm going to start the meeting. Thank you for coming over.
Yes.
I'll try to give you time, but I understand you're getting organized. So we are going to run, we have a quorum, so we're going to start the meeting. We expect at least one other commission member to come tonight, so we'll add them in. We will still need to run this as a hybrid meeting since that's how it was organized, so I'll have to do the roll call votes. We actually finally got it working, Liz, sorry, but somebody could join us online, although I don't expect that, but because of that, we'll have to run it as a hybrid meeting anyway. So let me read the rules on that. So pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D .021, it is hereby found necessary that in-person meetings of the Planning Commission are not practical or prudent due to the COVID-19 health pandemic and the peacetime emergency declared by Governor Walz. Therefore, today's meeting is being held through other electronic means with some officials not present at the regular physical locations. These proceedings are being live streamed through YouTube to meet the requirements of Minnesota Statute 13D .021. I think everybody understands the purpose of Zoom, but we will ask each person to identify themselves each time they speak. Commission members and staff online should mute themselves when not speaking. We don't have anybody online right now. In addition, each commission member will need to state their name when he or she makes a motion. And when they second a motion, all votes will require a roll call vote, so that'll slow things down a bit. Those wishing to speak to an issue will need to raise their hand for the issue they wish to speak to. We'll then move as participants so you can make comments. So we're going to take the agenda in order tonight, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about what the procedure is here. So the way we structure these meetings is that we will get a report from staff on an agenda item. And at that point, then we will have the person that's asking for consideration do a presentation. We'll have questions then from the audience, but we ask that presentations and audience members go up to the podium because there's a microphone there, and we can hear. Sound is pretty tough in this room, even not accounting for Zoom. So and then we'll have questions from the commission and then a vote. So that's the procedure. So and then again, identify yourselves when you go up for the minutes. So with that, we'll do Jen. Yes. Yes. So yeah, get up to the microphone. I can hear myself, so I'm thinking that I'm okay. But we have had some trouble with people getting close enough to the microphone to be heard. So make sure that you get close enough to do that, and we'll proceed.
And then we need to tell them in the next meeting.
Yes, thank you. So what happens is, hi Marcus, we're just getting started. So the next meeting, the way this works also is the Planning Commission makes a recommendation to the Community Development Committee, and that meeting is on, what the date? It's July. I'll look it
I want
up.
to say the 7th, but I don't have a calendar.
I got a calendar. It's on my calendar. I didn't bring the July 12th. So the July 12th meeting will be at the city council chamber or in the city annex room to the city council. City council, the next night then makes the final decision based on the CDC recommendation. And that would then be on,
13th at 5:00.
yes, thank you, July 13th at 5. So again, the 12th and the 13th are the key dates. But I will tell you that both the CDC and the city council put a lot of weight onto what the planning commission recommendation is. Anything else I need to point out? Thank you.
that's it.
No, I forgot that, so. Okay, with that, we're going to get the meeting started. The first item, we'll do roll call and approval of the minutes at the same time, so I'll go down the list. So I'm looking for approval of the minutes. I need a motion on that.
I would move to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Thank you.
Nancy Haggard, sorry.
I'll second the motion. Don.
Don, thank you. All right, so I will any discussion on that, changes that need to be made? Okay, hearing none, I'll call the question. Nancy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Is Eric here? I don't think so. Chair votes aye. Sean?
Aye.
Aye. Sean votes aye. Kyle is not here. Don?
Aye.
Aye. Don votes aye. Chris is not here. Liz?
Aye.
Aye. Liz votes aye. And Marcus?
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay, thank you. All right, so we do have more than a quorum, and again, thank you for making the trip down here. The technical difficulties are pernicious. Hopefully, we're not going to have to deal with that next month. The plan is to be again at the council chambers. So with that, we'll move on to area 3 here, public hearings. We are going to start go in order. Item A is a public hearing to give consideration to a conditional use permit to allow a car wash in a B3 district at 1415 US Highway 10 West, Smoke Properties Limited LLC. Larry, would you give us a report on this?
Yes, this is a request for a conditional use permit to allow a car wash in a B3 district. The proposed development complies with the comprehensive plan, which obviously shows this as a commercial district. The purpose of a conditional use permit is to provide the city with a reasonable degree of discretion in determining suitability for certain designated uses. There are 15 conditions listed for this particular type of development in this area. Without going through all of them, I would point out that this proposed project either meets or will meet upon construction all of the conditions that are listed. The staff is recommending approval of this conditional use permit. This is a pretty straightforward type of conditional use permit in a B3 district. There's also been talk by the city council of actually changing that to allow them by right, so we don't have to go through this every time somebody wants to put a car wash in a commercial district. I think it came about in the early days of our zoning ordinance because car washes were not as nice looking or as quiet as they are today. I mean, they were pretty noisy places, and so that's why all of the conditions are there. But this one will meet all of those conditions.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Questions for Larry? Okay, would you care to mention anything or talk to us about the car wash at all? You don't have to, it's not required, but. Oh, yep, and if you have, if you could go up to the mic, I'd appreciate it, so. I know it's kind of a hike, but.
Thank you for allowing us to be here tonight and consider the car wash. I'm sure many of you have used our car wash on Highway 34 and the Richwood Road. And one of the reasons that's prompted us to build another car wash is we're getting close to our maximum we're at now. Also, it's for convenience of our customers. Right now, we have a lot of customers on the south side around Detroit Lake or Melissa and Sally, where they do come in and shop at Menards and Walmart and other businesses in that general area. And it gets to be a little bit of an inconvenience for them to drive up to the north side. We feel very strongly that we're going to enhance our customer base by making it more convenient for them to use a car wash. At the same time, we'll keep our other car wash open with the self-serves. and will allow a close distance for our customers that live on the north side or come in from the north. So, are there any questions at all?
Well, first thing I'm going to ask you to do though is state your name and address for the
Oh, I'm sorry.
record. It's a-
Lowell Thompson,
Yep, thank you.
right, Detroit Lakes, Minnesota.
Great, good. All right, now any questions for Lowell or go ahead if you want.
Sure.
See,
My name is Dane McNeil. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona.
okay, thank you. Questions? Okay, with no questions, thank you. I will close the public, or I guess I need to find out if there's anybody else that is here tonight to comment on this. Okay, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing and ask for questions from the commission.
Yeah, Larry, have you received any correspondence pertaining to this?
Nothing.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, I would look for a motion to approve or disapprove. Oh, motion from Sean?
Yeah, I move to approve the conditional use permit pursuant to the 15 conditions.
All right, thank you. And Liz seconds. Thank you. So we'll go down the list. Sean, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. And Don?
Aye.
Thank you. Liz?
Aye.
Marcus?
Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So motion passes. So we will again be recommending approval to the CDC on July 12th.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, I have to ask, is anybody here for the plat, of Anchor Klein tonight? Just gotta double check that, all right? I didn't think so, but let's move back to the agenda then, which is, consideration to the preliminary plat of Pinewood Estates at 1364 Long Lake Drive. Larry, can you fill us in on this?
Yes, this is a 4-lot subdivision at 1364 Long Lake Drive. Currently, these lots do not have sewer and water service laterals. The owner would be required to excavate the existing mains to provide those service laterals. He would also need to repair the existing street after those are installed, and the owner would be required to install any other utility improvements in a typical cul-de-sac meeting the city standards, which we would have the city engineer design. So there would need to be a paved cul-de-sac at the end of this development. Preliminary plat, if approved, should be subject to the following conditions. 1, that the owner provide any utility easements required by the city. 2, that the owner provide any stormwater easements as designated by the city engineer. 3, that the owner provide land or pay the required $1,509 park dedication fee. And the park board has recommended the park dedication fee rather than land. And finally, that the owner sign an assessment agreement and development agreement for this plat prior to the city signing the final plat. This development agreement would include the requirement that he put in the utilities and the cul-de-sac.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Questions for Larry? Okay, hearing none. Meadowlands Surveying, are you here? You're here to talk about this, right? So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Scott Walls here with Meadowland Surveying on behalf of Drew Larson, who is here also. As Larry stated, this is 4 lots that all meet the minimum size requirements for lots in the Long Lake area. Drew owns and lives in this neighborhood. And what prompted this is he has a mother-in-law that would like to be able near he and his wife. And when he found out the process to create 1 lot was essentially the same as making these 3 or 4 lots, he decided to go ahead and just do the land there on the north side of the road into these 4 lots. Other than that, I guess it's fairly straightforward. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, questions for Kyle?
And Mr. Rosa, probably. Is there room on that lot for to put a little park type thing or
A what?
a little park type thing on
Well,
that lot number 4?
We don't have any desire to have a little park. at that location as a city. I understand that, but the size of the park, the size of the park dedication in this case would be very minuscule. It's
And
only
in any case, the
6%.
park board is recommending that we take the fee for this, Larry?
That is correct.
Okay, just to clear it up.
Yeah,
John.
no, I can understand if there's not much.
Yeah. Well, and when the rest of the majority, obviously all the other lots were made, the city collected a fee on that one as well. So it'll only be consistent with that.
You have a question? Are these lots to be single-family homes?
Yes.
And is the zoning for that, Larry? Larry?
It's zoned R2, 1 and 2 family residential.
Okay, thank you. Further questions? Okay, Kyle, I think we have a couple other people here that want to comment, so I'll have you give up the podium. You may be called upon again. So would any of you, I assume everybody here is for this plat, so anybody would care to comment or ask a question, if you could go to the podium, identify yourself, and then.
You must look like Kyle, but I know you're Scott.
I'm sorry, Scott. Shoot,
But there's a Kyle somewhere that looks just like you.
I know that too.
I'm Jim Wensman, live just down the street from the 4 lots. I'm on the plat there. And I guess the biggest thing for us is there's right now 31 homes that fall into that street, that development. And we're just looking at trying to keep the continuity and keep the lots and the uses all under the same guidelines. And that's what we're asking for, is that they follow the covenants. You guys should have all had a copy of it. I dropped one off for Larry yesterday. I don't know if you passed it out or not.
I did talk with Jim Wensman by phone. He did give me some restrictive covenants, and I informed him that the city does not require or enforce restrictive covenants, and that if they wanted restrictive covenants, that would be something that the owner of the plat would do. This particular plat meets all of the city's requirements. The lot sizes are very generous, 20,000 square feet or more. So they're not dissimilar to the lots that are out there in any way. And even if they were, they still meet all of the city's requirements. And so I don't see any reason why we would deny the plat. And I don't see any reason we can't require restrictive covenants, because if we do that, then we would be required to enforce those covenants. And the way restrictive covenants work is that owners put them on the property and they're enforced through the courts, and we don't get involved in those, and nor do we want to start getting involved in those.
Okay. And the other thing I'm asking is that because they are going to be part of the city now, or in the city and down the street from us, that they be maintained like every other lot in town, that keeps it mowed. There's noxious weeds and other things out there, and the group in the back spent a lot of money keeping weeds down, and Canadian thistle and the rest. And they haven't been maintained. We get all the blow in from the west and the north into our yards, and they all should be maintained and mowed down within a reasonable level anyway. So.
Well,
that's all I got.
I can only tell you, I agree with that. We just got a letter from our city administrator, and letters are going out to owners of property this week, right, Larry? It was, or was it last week? You don't know?
I
Okay,
don't know.
well, I remember, I have the letter anyway. I don't bring it with me, but yes. So, if there's a problem there, we'll get on top of it. But you're saying that right now the lots haven't been maintained or mowed?
No, there's noxious weeds throughout the field there, and
Okay,
We
that
do
all
have,
goes into our yard, so we all have to spend a lot of money and time screwing around just trying to kill weeds.
yep. So I'm just gonna ask, can you take care of mowing that out there?
Dan, generally, we don't require large tracts of land to be mowed like a yard is typically
Right.
mowed. But we do have a noxious weed ordinance,
Yep.
so he'll probably be getting a letter from Sean King to deal with the noxious weeds.
Okay, so the noxious weeds will be dealt.
with this.
Yeah. Yep, okay. So we'll get the noxious weeds taken care of, so thank you for the clarification. Looks like we have somebody else. Hi.
My name is Jay Durrani. I live at 1375 Long Lake Drive, which is adjacent to the land that Drew is planning to develop. The only concern I have is I've been dealing with the Minnesota Pelican River Watershed and other agencies in town regarding a water problem that's, we don't know the root cause. They know all about it. I finally hopefully got to a project that can take care of the problem, but I want to make sure that development on this land doesn't make this problem worse. So I don't know if who's all going to be involved on your side to help with this issue. So there's the wetland over there, and it's spilling over into my land, and it's disrupting my property, my yard. And so I've been dealing, like I said, with the Pelican River Watershed. And so it just brought up a few minutes ago that I have concern in the fact that houses being built there may further disrupt the flow of water. And I'm trying to get a permit right now through the Pelican River Watershed to rectify the issue with a drain pipe. Now, I would like to have some reassurance that this project isn't going to overload the drain pipe and create more of an issue on my property.
So Larry, you
Well,
looks like
it's
you
a
need to-
little bit hard for us to address that issue. We don't have any of the information, but I can certainly talk to the watershed district about that.
Well, I didn't expect an explanation right now, but I mean, it's a concern of mine that I have to enjoy my property, and, it's pretty hard when I have a skating rink in my yard because of water coming from the gravel pit or wherever it's coming from. And it's a 2-year project that no agency around here has been able to give me a reason why this is occurring. And so we're trying to rectify the problem, but the problem is a slow going solution dealing with these agencies. And Scott knows about it too. He's been out there. The other thing, Mr. Remen, I don't agree with your statement regarding the city and grass, the city not controlling the length of your grass and only worried about noxious weeds. Because
No, we do address grass in platted subdivisions, but when we have large tracts of land that are unplatted, or even sometimes large tracts of land that are platted, we do not require them to mow to 6 inches.
What's the
But we do
definition of
require them-
large plat of land?
That is a little bit open to interpretation.
Well, then, and the reason I ask this, and I have no problem, I drive by this land every day to go through on my driveway to go to my house. And I've seen that issue, but I don't care. It's not a big deal for me, but I know for Wensman's and the other people, it is.
Well, certainly the weeds are an issue.
Right,
And they
but
will
here's
be
the deal.
addressed.
Here's the issue I have is I got a call, and I've gotten calls in the past because I own 2 lots to the north of Drew Larson, across from Taves' house. I own 2 empty lots, and I've gotten letters and I've gotten phone calls from the city, including Sean King recently,
Yeah.
about mowing, and it had nothing to do with noxious weeds. It has to do with
Right.
mowing the
Correct.
grass.
So when you're down to 2 lots, that's not a
Well-
sizable development.
Well, but you just said it was down to
Well, so
interpretation,
we
so.
can
So
talk-
I
Jay,
guess that
Jay,
sounds like
we're
an
not gonna
interpretation
debate
issue.
what a
what's the-
size
You
of
need
a
to
lot
come
is
in
and whether
we'll
you need
talk
to
about
mow or
that.
not
That's a
tonight.
separate issue. We can discuss
I
that.
know, but I mean, I just want to clarify
Yeah.
this. I mean, if it's down to interpretation, then in my situation, it's interpretation also.
Sure, I think you need to address that separately, whether
Yeah,
your
I
lots
understand.
are large enough to require mowing or not.
Well, but
we're-
it is
no, not
relevant
going-
in the
we're
fact
not
that
going
this
there.
lot-
It's not
We're not
relevant
going
to-
there tonight. That's
Well,
not
it's
appropriate
relevant
for
in the
this
fact
meeting.
it has to do with those lots. So,
Pardon
I
me?
mean, if we're gonna have a rule, then we gotta have an ordinance.
Sure,
that
and
is
we sure
pertains and
can-
Consistently applied.
I agree with that. We sure can. If you feel you're not having it consistently applied, I'd like you to bring it up with city staff, but really I'd like to talk about the plating tonight. That's what we're here to do, so.
Okay.
Okay,
So the water issue
Yep.
is a concern. Drew Larson and Scott Walls are aware of it, and I just want to make sure that it doesn't become more of an issue and overrides the project that we have to rectify my problem.
yep.
And it's a problem for him, because those lands are gonna be affected by this water.
So I'm curious, Larry, when people start building on lots, there's some limitation on what they can do with landscaping and so forth?
Well, you can't have drainage from your lot causing harm to the
Yep.
neighboring lot. That
Yep.
doesn't mean, though, that you can't have some water that drains off onto your neighbors, because sometimes that's the natural
Yep.
flow of drainage. And one of the things the watershed district is very strongly encouraging is to not interfere with the natural drainage, because you're just fighting Mother Nature then. So I guess the short answer is yes, you can drain water across or onto your neighbor's yard as long as it isn't causing any problems.
Right. Okay,
So Larry, you have the
But-
comment about this-
Because
but only, but
in some cases, if somebody were required to dam up the water and keep it from flowing, it would create more problems, because
what
you
I'm
could put
hearing
a
you
dam on one side of a hill and it would stop the
Okay.
water and flow uphill to the neighbor that
Right,
way.
but what
So
I'm hearing you
it's not
say
a
is-
simple issue.
okay, what I'm hearing you say though, and the way I've interpreted it is that the drainage goes the way it's naturally supposed to go.
Right.
A
Well,
landowner is not required to change the flow of,
No,
the
and if you get
drainage.
to a drier climates, you're not allowed to change the flow and
Correct.
stop the water from flowing
Right.
to your neighbor. So water laws are very complicated.
right, so the point is he can't change the drainage. to- Yep. Sure. Yep. Great. Yep. Yep. But my point is, I'm not saying you're going to, but my point is there's rules against you actually changing the flow to drain onto your neighbor's yard. Yeah. So. Yep.
That would pertain to the gravel pit as well then.
Well, it should, and again, but for these
luck.
four lots, yes, drainage is not supposed to be directed
Dr.
onto
Green?
your property, so.
Is your water problem that you got, is that on the west side?
It'd
your
be
property?
my water on the west side of my property, yes. But it's flowing over to the east side of my property.
What is?
Thankfully, with the precipitation being low, it has improved the situation, but hasn't completely rectified the situation. I mean, there's a lot of brush and trees that are dying because they're still standing in water. So, and a lot of it, like he said, a lot of it, I believe, is the gravel pit, but try to move that elephant.
Yep.
So,
We've tried.
So Larry, my question was, you addressed the stormwater, but this is not that far from a lake. What is is it in the Lake Shore district? And is the watershed supposed to be involved in some of these requirements?
The watershed has their own requirements, and yes, it is in the shoreland district.
Yeah, so typically you have a recommendation that has to be addressed. and
I'm
it's not.
sorry, what?
Typically, when the staff gives a report, they have a requirement that has to be addressed, and it's not listed here. I don't think. I mean, when we have given
Well,
approval before,
I think we should add it.
I think in some of the conditional use permits and variances, we have required them to have a Pelican River Watershed District permit. If they're required to have the permit, they have to get it whether we say so or not. That's their separate entity with their own regulations.
typically you put it on the recommendations, though, do
We
you
can
not?
put it on there.
I would put it on, and if the sand pit is digging too deep, causing the problem, that should be addressed.
Yep. So that'll help also assure that we're not gonna get drained. That'll also help assure we're not gonna get drainage going in a direction it's not supposed to.
Exactly.
Yep. Okay.
All I was gonna say-
Scott, what else did you have to
I
say?
was just gonna say, typically when the requirement's put on there, they're actually building roads and they trigger, that automatically triggers a watershed district permit. And that's why Larry puts it on there, is because he knows it's gonna trigger one. These may or may not, depending on how big a house they're building and how much impervious surface they're covering. So it doesn't hurt to put it on there, absolutely not. Just if it triggers one, they'll have to get one.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So Jay, I don't know if you heard that, but we're gonna put a condition on there that they get a, what is it, a permit from the, or no, it meet the requirements of the watershed.
Know that they obtain any required Pelican River Watershed District permit.
Okay, so that should help with the water problem. What? Oh, can you lean
The
into the
requirement
microphone?
will be that they obtain any required Pelican River Watershed District permit.
Okay, so basically they gotta work with, if there's a watershed district permit required, they need to get it, okay, and that would happen if, so one more time, Larry, man, I'm telling you, I'm having trouble
Is
tonight.
Okay.
your mic working? Because we can't hear you either.
Yeah, it is. We gotta use
Okay,
the-
I'll eat it.
There you go.
How's that?
Much better.
The condition will be that they obtain any required Pelican River Watershed District permit. So for the rest of the commissioners, this is how close you have to get to be heard.
Right. Okay, again, that'll help mitigate any water concerns you might have there, because the watershed district will be involved. Okay, any other questions? It's hard to do this both ways. Or comments?
Larry, did you receive any other correspondence?
No, the only comments I had were from Jim Wensman.
Okay. Anyway, any other comments tonight from anyone here? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask the commissioners if you have any questions of Larry or anyone on this preliminary plat.
I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment that I'm a big supporter of native plants. And so I don't necessarily feel that every lot needs to be mowed, like a golf course grass thing. So, yeah, right. And, you don't have to have grass. You can have native plants, and individual owners have the right to landscape their lots as they see fit. That's within guidelines, so. Are there regulations on chemicals that can be sprayed in that area?
Oh,
that-
yes, the county regulates that.
Okay,
Okay. So did you hear Drew? I mean, he's basically going to put a chemical down, and if I heard it, you're going to try. Yep, you'll spray it, but it needs county approval before you can put it down, so.
That is the typical way of dealing with large areas and weeds.
Okay.
okay.
Did you hear what he said, Nancy?
Well, Drew
Yeah,
said
I know,
that
but the county.
it's gonna have county approval.
regulates
Okay.
He's gonna
can
put
spray.
the chemical he's gonna put on is gonna be okay by the county.
Right, all right, gotcha.
That was
okay,
my
good.
question.
Okay. Good. Any other questions? Okay, I'd be looking for a motion on this. I can't make it, so
I would move to approve the request
Nancy moves to approve.
with the conditions that Larry added
Yep.
as far
Okay.
as the.
Pelican
watershed
River
district.
watershed, yeah.
Okay, great. And I need a second.
I'll second.
Don seconds. Okay, so let's go down the list. Nancy, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Dan votes aye. Sean,
Aye.
thank you. Don,
Aye.
thank you. Liz
Aye.
and Marcus.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we will take we'll take the recommendation to approve this plat with the conditions that we added to the CDC. Again, that meeting is on the 12th. It's at 5 PM. If, you know, you have the right to come there again and ask questions, so, okay? Just want, and then full approval will be at city council meeting on the 13th. So another opportunity. So thank you very much. Okay. All right. So,
The next item would be the final plat of Anchor Klein Road.
we'll hold off for just a minute, Larry.
Anchor, it's Anchor Road and Klein Road. That's a good question, and I'll get the map for you.
All right. Okay, I think we can, oh. Yeah, we know we have another item yet, but. All right, good. This will probably only take about 10 minutes, but. Okay, moving on to item 4, which is final plat approval of Anchor Klein at 2007 Klein Road. Larry,
Well, this is the final plat of Anchor Klein. It's a 2-lot plat. And it meets all of our requirements for a final plat, and I would recommend approval.
okay. Jen, nobody's online for this, right? Or anything? All right, great. So any questions from the planning commission members? Okay, hearing none, I'd look for a motion to approve or disapprove this.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Marcus.
I'll second.
And a second from Liz. Thank you. So we'll go down the roll. Marcus, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Nancy,
Aye.
chair votes aye. Sean,
Aye.
aye. Don.
Aye.
And Liz?
Aye.
Thank you. So that motion passes. So we had one question, or actually Nancy has a question about something that's not on the status
Okay.
report.
I do also have one other item.
Oh, well, let's handle that first and then we'll do the question.
This is a request for Pelican River Heights development. It's for Bristlin's first edition. This is the one out by Floyd Lake, sort of.
Okay.
Anyway, generally, you're supposed to apply for final plat approval within 100 days of preliminary plat approval. We started working on changing our subdivision ordinance to allow people to have a year, because a lot of times there's a lot of work that needs to be done between preliminary plat and final plat approval. And so they are requesting a 1-year extension to submit their final plat, and we've granted these in the past.
Okay, questions?
It's a fairly typical request.
Okay, questions for Larry?
Do we have to vote on that?
We do, we have to forward it to the council and they have to approve it,
Okay,
so.
actually, I'll look for a motion and then if we
I
need
would move to
discussion.
approve
Second.
that extension.
First and second, any further discussion on that? Okay, I will call the question. Sean?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Sean did.
Sean,
Okay, we got you covered. Sean votes aye. Don?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
Thank you. Marcus?
Aye.
Good. Nancy?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Very good. So with that, we had a question on that, or Nancy had a question. I'll let you explain it, so.
Yeah, I went through the status report and I was recalling on, because I don't remember the name of the people and I don't remember the exact address, but on Shorewood Drive, there was a new homeowner that put up a fence that was too tall and also built a building that was on a larger footprint than down than had been previously down by the lake.
Yeah.
I drive by there all the time. The fence is now 3 feet, which is right, but the building is still there, but I didn't see that in the list of status. And I wondered if that had been resolved or where it was.
I will check on that. I thought it was still on there.
Okay, I don't
But-
see it on here.
Okay,
And I don't see that building has been moved, and that's why I asked Dan,
Yep.
after it left us, was there a different recommendation made
He-
from the council or the CDC?
no, he has applied for a permit to take that shed down and build a smaller shed.
Okay.
So he's been cooperative.
Oh, it looked like he'd been very cooperative, and it seemed like it was
Yeah.
maybe done if it wasn't on this list, was my question.
Yep, I will check on that and get it back on the list.
I'm glad to hear that he applied for a permit to replace that, so.
Yeah.
Very good. So, good question, though. Anything else on the report or anything else that needs to be brought up tonight? Okay, with that, I'm gonna consider us adjourned then, so thank you.
I want to
And-
thank you guys for driving in.
Yeah, sorry about that, but of course, you know, about 10 minutes after you took off, they fixed the problem.
We're gonna have all our meetings in person again unless something comes up.
That's how it goes.
Gosh, I hate to shut Jay down. We don't need to